We're kind of walking through saying, what are the core priorities of state government? And for me, there's a few things that are really key. First is education. It actually is in the headlines today. The courts have found that it's not only our constitutional obligation that the state is, according to the courts, not meeting, but I would argue it's also an economic imperative that the state makes adequate investment in the education of our kids. That's how we compete in a 21st century economy. Services for people who are vulnerable, I think, are also important. I work a lot on issues affecting people with developmental disabilities, and I would argue we have a moral obligation to provide services to people who are in need. And then third, public safety. Some of you may have seen in the paper some of the cuts that some states have made. California let 50,000 people out of prison. I think that's the wrong approach, and particularly as a dad, I have a lot of concern about that. I've been working with the Association of Washington Business and the Department of Revenue on a proposal that's focused on tax simplification, trying to make it easier for businesses, instead of having to deal with dozens of different tax forms, to just have one simpler form, not having to deal with different requirements in every jurisdiction. I've been working on a couple of bills dealing with regulatory relief to try to just make it easier for our businesses to do business. Working on the infrastructure front to try to make sure that we're actually making smart investments that promote economic development. The key is trying to help out our small businesses. Small businesses are often described as the backbone of our economy. I like to refer to them as our star running back. They're the ones that are scoring the touchdowns. And if you look at, as we're coming out of this recession, 90% of the new job creation has come from small businesses. And I think it's important that the state actually calls some plays for our star running back.
I want to either fix, eliminate, reform, or save money. And if my bills don't fall into one of those categories, I'm not doing it. This is a spending versus revenue. Starts out here in 2004, and this is 2010 right here. This is proposed and budgeted, so don't pay attention to that part, but right through here. This is the gap that we currently have between spending and revenue. And the issue, you think, I know that we are having trouble and we are in a recession, that's a given. But when we have the 2011 and 13 revenue projected to grow 1.98 billion, and it's 6.9% more than we had in the past 2 years, our revenue, this is the problem, the gap. I have a bill that's going to be working on plating that has a hearing scheduled for Tuesday already. That bill is set up to where when you have a large piece of land that developers have already jumped through all the hoops they need to build on that land, and now because of the economy they can't. I don't want them to lose the ground and lose all the money they've invested and be able to kind of hang in there at a status quo until the economy turns around a little bit. I have a bill that is ready to be filed on Monday that will eliminate the front license plate on your car. Can't figure out why it's there, and we can save $6 million. I have a financial literacy bill that I want to take our kids and say, let's teach them how to balance a checkbook. What does a contract mean? What are loans, interest calculations? What does insurance mean if I buy that car? What about investing? How could I invest now? How do I save? And how do I plan for college? In this bill, it encourages for public-private partnerships to where many of you could go into the classroom working with that teacher, the CPA, the financial advisor, the banker, and work with those kids and help them learn what they might be facing when they get out. And I think even looking at that, they might decide they're going to need higher education for sure.
We do not have 8.6% of our population in school. That's a disgrace. And not only is it a disgrace, it's part of the reason that we have so much unemployment. The student demand over here in Gig Harbor is huge, partly because of the tolls on the bridge. Young students or people who are trying to get back to work just don't have the money to pay the freight to get to the main campus over there. The whole community college system has, in round numbers, about 250,000 headcount students. Most of them are part-time, all different ages, all different curricula. And that headcount has gone down by 20,000 since last year. Why? Mostly, I think Janine can tell you, because they can't afford to pay. They register in August and September, and by October, when you got to start paying the bills, the student count has been going down. If we can't turn that around, we'll be down 40,000 by next year. How can you run an economy and dig yourself out of a recession if your adults who want to come back to work, your high school students who want to get on with their education, if they can't go to school? I want to make sure that the community colleges where we are tonight, the universities, that we're increasing the production of students who are in areas where they can earn good money in current jobs that are open. We've got 60,000 open high-tech jobs in this city, in this state. And then the other thing I'm working on is youth health, youth employment. We've got lots of unemployed youth, and we're trying to build a set of work teams so that younger workers, younger people, could work for a year building trails in the forest, cleaning parks, doing good, honest work en route to a college education. There are very big decisions about education, health care, where we put our money, and whether or not we ask the taxpayers to invest money in more education. So this is a legislative session where people should really feel free to get involved.